Hey, welcome to the very first episode of our brand new podcast called Take a Number. My name's Al Shield, and in this particular podcast, I've got a bunch of numbers in front of me, all corresponding to a question. And my guest each and every week, and more than likely it'll be the same guest each and every week because this man absolutely loves answering questions, will have no idea about what's coming his way, but he'll have roughly anywhere up to 10 minutes to answer each and every question as much as he likes. So let's introduce the question answerer for today. He is a jack of all trades. He'll tell you he's the master of none. He does work in radio with me, but he's also a writer, a producer, an actor. Ooh. Is there anything that I've missed so far, Dan Brixey?
Was a taxi driver, so you can put that down.
Taxi driver, you worked in a bank?
Oh, I worked at a bank, worked at a strip club. G'day! Hello! It's me, Dan Brixey. How are you?
Welcome to Dan Brixey. This is phenomenal.
We've been talking about this for so long, and I am really looking forward to doing this particular podcast. Because, like as Al said, I'm just going to pick a number. We have not prepped this.
Nope.
There's nothing. I've come here. I don't have sheets of paper. I don't have notes in front of me.
Yep.
I'm just literally going to pick a question. Al's going to ask me this question, and I've got to answer it to the best of my abilities. But I've got the feeling that everything's just probably just going to end up being some kind of rant in some way.
Well, that's what I'm kind of hoping for.
Oh, you're kind of hoping for the rant. I'm known for my rants here at work.
So 3 numbers per podcast episode.
Okay.
We've got 100 in front of us. Pick a number, Dan Brixey.
So what? 1 to 100?
1 to 100.
And I'm going to pick number 63.
63.
Yes.
Here we go. In a case of everything old is new again, Hollywood suddenly gets excited to make westerns once more.
Yeah.
The problem is the western you get to make can only have Australian cast members who were once or still are
for God's sake.
musicians. Who plays in your new western?
Oh, my God. Really?
Yes.
You have put you've put more thought into this than the answer I'm going to give. So I've got to... Hollywood has said to me, Dan, you can make westerns. And I go, you beauty. I love westerns.
Yeah.
However,
you're very limited. Well, not very limited because there's a lot of the Australian music scene that you could pick for this.
I know, but I don't know anybody in Hollywood that would say, hey, we want it populated by nothing but Australian musicians, because I'm be flat out. If any Hollywood people know who any Australian musicians are.
There's one in particular that is semi-classed as a musician once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
Who I'm thinking of.
Who are you thinking of?
I can't answer this question for you, but I'm just giving you hints.
This question. A semi-musician.
Yeah, semi-musician. Like once every blue moon.
I think you're probably thinking Rick Springfield.
No.
No, you're not. Well, Rick Springfield does have acting ability. So, if anything, he'd be my first one to get in there, and I'd probably put Rick Springfield somewhere. I wouldn't have him as my hero, though. He'd sort of like be the old sheriff that kind of seen one too many gunfights, and he's a bit old, but he's still got it in him, because Rick still looks pretty damn good for a dude who's approaching 70. He still looks pretty damn good. Now, as far as if you were to cast like the surly gangsters.
Go on. I can think of a few names in the Oz music scene for this one, yes.
I think if you're looking at surly, I mean, there's, where do you go? I think those old photos of AC/DC from circa 1975 where they all look like they were ready to punch you in the face. Because I remember they just looked like the toughest bunch, and Bond was the crazy one, and Angus was the kid who was just too young to be there. But the thing is, now that I've sort of know a bit more about AC/DC, they were all just such tiny little guys. But that's probably might make them dangerous, is the fact that they were just tiny. They were the littlest guys imaginable. They were like, we're from the land of the little people. And they had those thick little half Aussie, half Scottish accents. Bond was the wild man, but you wouldn't sort of cast Bond as a villain. You'd cast him as like the roguish guy who, was a hit with the ladies.
So like the third wheel.
Bond would never be
the sidekick.
Yeah, the sidekick, so to speak. The funny, the comedy relief. So I think as far as surly is concerned, and thinking that they're too cool for school, I can't go past all the members of Powderfinger, because to be perfectly bloody honest, they all act as if they are too cool for school. They all look surly, and they all look like they wish they'd rather be somewhere else.
So do you think that Bernard Fanning, ex-frontman from Powderfinger, would be a fit for this remake western? Yeah,
as long as he didn't get a lot of dialogue, because he'd probably just like... He probably thinks he could do it, I reckon. So, he's mates with Gregor Jordan, who made that Ned Kelly remake with Heath Ledger. Why can't they make a decent Ned Kelly film? Al, why has there not been a decent Ned Kelly film?
You're not counting Reckless Kelly?
Especially not. Yahoo Serious is as a conversation all unto himself.
Could you include Yahoo Serious in this remake? Because
absolutely.
He did,
actually, you know what? I would.
Does he have musical background, or did he pretend to sing along to rock and roll music?
Well, he did sound awfully like Martin Plaza from Mental as Anything when he sang it. Actually, I would put Yahoo Serious, but he would have like a real small cameo, like what Quentin Tarantino does with, how he gets these actors that everyone thinks, oh, you're washed up, you're nothing. And then all of a sudden he puts them in a role and everyone kind of goes, what the hell?
Well, I was surprised.
This guy can act.
I was surprised to see John Jarrett in what was it? Django Unchained.
That's exactly right. Oh, what did I see the other night for Channel 9? What did the Django Unchained? So clearly the guy who was doing the voiceover
Django
didn't know anyone who's seen Django Unchained beforehand. No one in the production booth said, "Oh, by the way, if you've seen the movie, there is an actual line. It's in the trailer where he says the D is silent." He said Django Unchained. It was like he obviously walked in the production booth. No one had a clue what they're doing. And that's the kind of world we live in right now. There are no professionals. Everyone's gotten fired. So everyone they hire is the cheapest and you get what you bloody pay for.
Okay, so far in our movie, we've worked out some burly sidekicks. Some more burly with Powderfinger
but
there.
I would put Powderfinger in the non-speaking role. They'd be like the dudes who come into town. They're behind the leader.
Part of the posse.
Part of the posse, so to speak.
Right.
The hero, though, this is a thing. Who would play the hero? Look, probably back in the 80s, I would have cast John Farnham because he would have had that, that white cowboy look about him. Like, he just always comes across as like, the singing cowboy. He would have been the singing cowboy.
I'm sorry, I love Farnsey, I really do, but I just can't see him with a 6-shooter stopping a posse of bad guys.
You have no imagination. God, he wore the Akubra. He used to wear the Dryzer Bone. Of course he would have. He had the long blonde hair flowing, but it would have been a musical western and it would have been really suckful. And I would make something that was just ultra messed up and violent. So I'll be looking more on the spaghetti side of things. So for the hero, this is a hard one because an Australian hero, I wouldn't cast Michael Hutchence because he'd probably pull out a flower more than he'd pull a gun.
Yeah, but if you wanted sex appeal in a western,
I don't want sex appeal in a western. I want grimy, dirty, grotty people who look like they sleep in there, and he's got to right the wrongs. So that's kind of thing. But also, while he's righting the wrongs, he's a bit like Batman. He's also struggling with his own history of violence in every way whatsoever. Guy Sebastian? No.
What?
I was just making sure you were still listening.
There's another guy that I like a lot, but I can't see him in a western.
I'd put Paul Kelly in there as the guy who sings in the bar.
Yes.
You would,
the honky-tonk piano player.
Yeah, the honky-tonk piano player. It would be Paul Kelly in there.
Have to be, yes.
Yeah, look, the hero is stumping me. I mean,
what about the guy behind the bar? There's always a grizzled...
the grizzled old guy behind the bar?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Richard Clapton for sure. The guy who can't, because he can't shut up.
Yeah.
And actually,
he tells the greatest story. So
he does actually. He does tell brilliant stories. They all kind of do. As far as because who in Australia? I mean, apart from Jimmy Barnes, I'm not going to do it.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't think Jimmy would be my guy purely because I'd see him being the old landowner that is the bad guy, and he's the old landowner.
Yep.
Probably keeps a couple of slaves or something like that. That's who I think.
Trying to take over the town.
Taking over the town.
Yep.
And he's singing about it. They're taking over the town. What is it? They're shutting down
our town.
Well, he's singing, they're taking over our town. And he'd be scary because the kiddies can't, the kids, even though he did a children's album, what Okai the Gnu.
Yeah.
He'd still scare the pants off people.
I reckon he could play a convincing bad guy, Jimmy.
He would play.
And if he screamed at you, you would run.
Yeah. Actually, I'm starting to really sort of go here, and I'm going to get all obscure here.
You've got 2.5 minutes left.
Have I got 2.5 minutes left?
Yep.
Wow, what an interesting topic.
Make your casting choices.
Make my casting choices, Brixey. Tex Perkins would play the hero.
Yep.
Yeah. Because if anyone has oozing sex
and looks like a cowboy.
And looks like a cowboy. And looks like he could fuck shit up and fuck the girl at the end, it's Tex Perkins.
Wow.
He would be the guy. He might be a bit old to play, but actually he'd be good because I like the idea of the old cowboy. I don't like the young, fresh-faced cowboy, but yeah, Tex...
You want a bit of experience and war
weariness.
weariness.
And then if you presented that cast list to an American studio, they'd look and go, I would just cuss Leonardo DiCaprio instead, okay?
Missing 2 important points of this question, Australian and musical background, but nonetheless.
They would never go with what you want.
All right, some good answers there. And on the back of Tex Perkins, perhaps Nick Cave too somewhere?
Yeah, look, Nick would help write the thing. He's already written an Australian Western with the proposition, but then I would probably have a fight with him because no, I want to write it. And then he'd go, okay, go and write it then. I've already done this. I don't need to do this. I'd get Nick to do the music. Nick Cave and Warren Ellis do brilliant scores. They would do the music.
I think one thing I forgot to point out in the intro is that Brixey is a massive, massive film buff.
Could you tell?
Huge film buff. So some amazing names there as part of our first question, which means we're just about out of time for that one.
God, I can't believe I did 10 minutes on that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to choose from.
Wow.
So, Brixey, take a number.
Oh, we're doing another one.
Yeah, we're doing 3.
Oh, we're doing 3. Okay.
3 each podcast. We're not doing 101.
We're doing 3. Okay, I will pick number 27.
Number 27. You can go back in time and leave a quick note for your 18-year-old self. What life-changing piece of advice do you want to give yourself at the age of 18?
Oh, right. This is almost like a psychiatric thing now. Are you really being a psychologist now?
It's okay. I'm not going to tell you what's wrong with you.
Just one piece of advice?
Well, as much as you like.
One piece of advice.
Well, you've got 10 minutes, so if you want to
10 minutes. So I've got 10 minutes to change the course of my history. Oh, right. First of all,
don't drink that. Don't go to this particular place on this night. You can elaborate as much as you like. Don't kiss that girl. All of those things.
All right, I'm 18. Well, that's when I had a near fatal car accident. So I'd probably say to myself, "Don't drive so fast, you idiot."
What were you doing?
Going fast.
Okay.
On a country road, and I rolled it.
Oh.
As I'm lucky I survived. So I would say, "Don't drive so fast, you nitwit." I'd probably say, "Don't drink so much." Just don't drink as much as you.
You were a big party animal back in your teens.
I wasn't a big party animal, but when I drank, I drank hard, and you know what? I don't drink alcohol to get drunk anymore, and I don't miss it. So I would say don't drink so much. And the really boring. This is going to get really boring because that's what the problem is. As you get older, you sort of look back. I would say go to more concerts, go to more shows. Don't like certain bands as much as you thought you were going to like them.
Oh, no, you can't just leave that one hanging. Who did you like a lot that looking back you went, wow.
Well, isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? I'll go back to that in a second. I think the other thing I'd tell myself too is, look, invest in stuff like Apple.
I think everyone would tell themselves that at 18 years old.
Invest in Google and don't listen to your father's financial advice because your father knew dick all about money. Okay, so that's it. But back to age
18. Your number one band or the artist you couldn't get enough of that you cringe now looking back. I mean, this is a separate question.
Actually, that's the weird thing. Some of the things I liked when I was 18, I actually look back on now and think that's actually pretty good. Like Pink Floyd. I was really into Pink Floyd at 18, and if I look back on that now, I go, yeah, Pink Floyd were pretty good. I was right into Cold Chisel, believe it or not, as a young teenager. And looking back, you think, yeah, they were really good, but I don't really know why they keep coming back. I know it's all about money nowadays.
So does this mean you're not going to see them on the upcoming summer tour, the Blood Moon tour?
No, because it means I've got to go to, that Sirame Wines, which means I've got to drive up to the mountain there at night time.
The struggle is real.
10,000 other people who think they're all being individuals about this whole thing. Sit there and watch Cold Chisel, and they'll probably be great. There's no doubt about it. And the thing about Jimmy Barnes, I'm saying it here, if you're listening, Jimmy, some nights you're great, and some nights... You're not so great. We played something, I heard something on the radio the other day that made me think, God, what happened?
He may have just been having an off concert. I
think he has a few. That's the thing. I don't think there's a consistency because when I saw Cold Chisel a few years ago when they did one of the Reformations, they were fantastic. And it was the only time I'd seen them. They broke up before I got a chance to go to shows. I think there's a lot of stuff I do actually still listen to. What it was when I got to my 20s, I kind of went, all that stuff I listened to when I was 18. Like I liked a lot of their hair metal that was coming out of LA. Mm-hmm. Like bands like Motley Crue and Def Leppard. And the thing is, I've gone back and bought that music again. That music's actually pretty good. Those guys are pretty, and a lot of the stuff I gave up, like I got right into the Seattle grunge thing and Nirvana, and really, you're going to listen to Nirvana now. I tell myself, get into it. But, just understand that they're just bands. It's just bands. But the thing is, I'd say to myself, just be better with your money. And don't be scared to do the things you want to do. Don't listen to everyone tell you, take the safe path in the road. The road less travelled is always the more interesting one.
So what did you miss out on? What were you dissuaded from trying?
Oh, look, I always wanted to be an actor. And I think if I'd have pursued that a bit, I know it's a tough road to hoe. And who knows what could have happened. But I think I could have really pushed myself a little bit. But I think it's my own fault. I liked the comfort of having a job and earning money, and I was working in the bank, for God's sakes. I tell myself not to do that job again. That's the thing. I'd go back and say, don't listen to your dad. He had no idea. There you go, Dad. There you go. He's copping it now.
He is. Poor bastard.
Yeah, well, we all how would I say it? I had an old school teacher used to say, you pedal to hell on your own bicycle. And I agree with that statement 100%.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
So I guess the thing we're taking away from this question is, drive safer to the limits. Go for those dreams that you want.
Yep.
And don't let anyone dissuade you in doing that. However, I guess the ultimate question to cap off this one, if you got that when you're 18, would you have taken your own advice?
I don't think so. I think that's the thing that human beings do. I think you got it in you or you don't. Like, I think a good example are other people who are pretty successful. They listened to themselves when they were younger. My dad always said, your mates were dickheads, Dan. And to be perfectly honest, if I was hanging around with a different bunch of people, I probably would be. I think we're different. I think your environment says a lot.
Yeah.
You could, either you're a motivated person and you can go, I'm going to go and do that and no one's going to stop me. Or you're going to go, I'm just going to sit here and get drunk with my mates because my mates are cool and I like my mates. And a lot of us just go do that because it's easy and it's simple and it doesn't require any real work. But I just had a bunch of mates who they didn't really want much in life. They were just happy to just
exist. And
maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's because it doesn't cause any torment late in life when you go, geez, I wish I'd done that. Geez, I wish I'd done. They go, you know what? Life turned out pretty damn sweet if you ask me. Mm-hmm. And maybe they had the right idea.
Okay.
Who knows? No one knows. There's no right or wrong way to do it.
And there's no right or wrong answers on this podcast either. So thank you for the little pushing back the curtain to life as Brixey back circa when you were 18.
Oh.
All right. Which means we've got time for one more question.
One more question.
Take a number.
I'm going to pick number 44.
Number 44.
You know the Asian or the Chinese, they think 4 is an unlucky number. And
7's really lucky.
No, 8. 8 is their lucky number.
8 is lucky.
8 is their lucky. 4 is unlucky.
Why is 4 unlucky?
I don't know. It's just the way it works. Half of 8. It's unlucky. And of course, my favourite number is 4. 44. So if you listen to what I just said before about doing the things in your life, maybe my life is unlucky and I've been because of 4. And
pick a better number.
No, I'm going to pick 44.
No, 44. Okay.
Yeah, get out of the way. It's done, man.
Well, luckily, you're also a big film buff, but a huge music fan too.
Oh, okay.
Your top 3 worst album names of all time. Now, Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water by Limp Bizkit is not allowed because it's way too easy.
Okay, that's easy. That's easy.
Oh, okay. Well, do I even need to set the timer on this one? You've got 10 minutes.
Well, the first one I'm going to get off the top of my head is Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness by the Smashing Pumpkins.
Now, why don't you like this one?
Well, I'm probably a bit tainted at the moment. I'm listening to this podcast called Your Favorite Band Sucks. So there you go. I'm going to reference those guys and they just did an episode on the Smashing Pumpkins telling you why they were terrible. And the thing is about stuff like that is I listen to it and I'll try to hear my favorite bands. I liked the Smashing Pumpkins at the time, but then I remember that album came out and I bought it and it's 28 songs and I just thought, this is just going on a bit too
28
long.
songs?
Yeah, and then I went and saw them in concert and it was the worst thing I've ever seen and I've never really kind of liked them since. So I'm going to throw them under the bus because that's such a pretentious title, isn't it?
It's who's on there's a piece of art on the front cover. Who is that?
I don't care. I actually don't care. It's just a really, Melancholy, and in the way it's spelled, Melloncholie, so 2 separate names, as in Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, like a band's name.
Yep.
That's just really, just like, wow. That's how do you justify that? How do you absolutely justify that album title? Now, look.
And do you find Billy Corgan one of the most passive-aggressive people on the planet?
He's just an idiot. Oh, he's awful. And apparently he's just an awful human being. But, you know, like,
I wasn't
you
gonna go
probably
that far.
like, you probably like him because he owns a WWE.
He does have an involvement in wrestling, but that's where I've seen him. That's where I went, well, you're not really selling this much. so no, I can't call myself a fan, let's be honest. Okay, so we've got one Smashing Pumpkins album.
Yep.
Your second album of your top 3 worst album names
Worst
of all time.
album names of all time, because the way I look at it, because there's probably some people, like really bad bands, that have released an album with a bad title and no one buys it, and you just sort of think to yourself, oh, you're never going to hear that again.
Yep.
One that's just sprung into my mind now is the Rolling Stones, their Satanic Majesties Request. See, I said it out loud. I'll say it again. Their Satanic Majesties Request.
Their Satanic Message, not the Satanic.
No, their Satanic Majesties Request.
This was circa
1966 or 67. 67 when this album came out.
Yep.
Came out after Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. That could come into there as well. Their Satanic Majesties Request. When you really, really think about it, is that an album that these guys are into Satan, or are they just trying to shock people?
I think it was probably more of the latter. Weren't they, once described as the dirty version of the Beatles?
Yeah, right. That was an image that was cultivated big time. A dirty version of the Beatles. Oh, dear. But it's just a terror. What an album title. I mean, you're going to release that, and if you go, ooh, and all the teenagers are going to go, Mom, I'm going to do this because these guys are into Satan.
Oh.
And, yeah, I mean...
If you played it backwards,
the Satanic
you
Panic
get a
was
message?
real, though. People really thought you were going to get possessed by Satan or something. But listening to the Rolling Stones, you were going to get possessed by Satan?
Yeah, but that was also the time where doing a certain activity would also render you blind and put hair in your palms. So take that as you will.
My palms are a little hairy.
I did not need to know.
Really?
So tell that album, did it live up to the hype of its name?
No, it's full of all these weird orchestrations, and it's got some nice songs on it. Like She's Like a Rainbow. It's kind of a cool song, but it's just like a whole bunch of guys going, how bad can we be? How bad can we be?
Well, you need an album to point that out.
Oh, we want to. Let's see how bad we can be. Oh, we're bad boys. And because the Rolling Stones have gone on to become one of the biggest corporate rock acts in the world, that's probably more evil than the Satanic Majesties. The fact that they've been able to keep going is more evil than their Satanic Majesties
But
Request.
Start Me Up was a masterstroke in terms of wheeling and dealing.
But that wasn't on that album.
No, I'm not saying it was, but they were one of those bands that just went, no, we can mirror our music to business, and it started to pave the way, especially with that deal that they had.
The deal with the devil, you're saying?
No, the deal with Apple.
You're thinking way off a different tangent to me. The deal with Apple. What is it? Was it Apple or was it Windows?
Oh, it was Windows.
I
Sorry,
think it was Windows.
I'm good at history.
Oh, it was Windows 95.
It was Windows 95.
You know, that was originally supposed to be REM's "It's the End of the World as We Know It" and "I Feel Fine." That was the original song that they wanted.
Given how often it crashed, would probably be more fitting.
Well, REM said we want nothing to do with that one there.
Or unless the Rolling Stones called it "Restart Me Up," "Reboot Me Up."
Now, my third one is going to. I'm going to go out there because you're asking me these things off the top of my head.
Yeah, and I want the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
I know full well by doing this, you'll text me at 3:00 tomorrow morning with a list of 12 others.
Oh, this one here.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is probably one of the worst album titles ever. An Innocent Man by Billy Joel.
Oh, what? No, hang on. Yeah, we're going to establish across this podcast series that you are not a big fan of Billy Joel nor his works. No, it's pretty much a given. But how does that factor into one of the worst names for an album ever?
Because he's not. He's far from innocent. He's as guilty as hell.
Of what?
Of producing bad music. So the album comes out and says, but I'm an innocent man. It's not me. It's somebody else. I'm just doing... And the cover was him looking plaintive, alone, like a human being on his front cover of the album.
He is a human being.
Yeah, and he produced an album of doo-wop shite. Really? Just tell her about it. Anybody's favourite song.
It is for Billy Joel fans.
Is Uptown Girl anybody's favourite? Bet you Christy Brinkley, every time she probably hears Uptown Girl on the radio, she actually turns the car, smashes it into a tree,
I don't think she
pulls
goes
the
through that many
radio out,
cars.
and I think she has. She's rich. She just sends the bill to Billy and says,
Doesn't mean
"Hey,
she
pay up
crashes
your
the car every
alimony.
time it hits the radio.
Pay up your alimony."
Wow.
You little, you.
But
you
that
trumped
song
up.
that song was also rumored to be about Whitney and our very own Elle Macpherson.
Who
Uptown Girl.
was it really?
Absolutely.
Like I care.
It still hasn't.
If you honestly thought that song was written for you, you would actually probably sue Billy John and say, "Please just take my name off this record."
Wow.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I wonder if there's how many guys out there have sung Uptown Girl. If ladies out there, if you are with a man and he sings you Uptown Girl
Like
as
karaoke.
as a karaoke song dedicated to you, that's when you say, "Oh, that's so sweet. I'm just going to the bathroom," and you never come back.
Just run.
Okay, just run, just hide, because that just goes to show the level of what this man, he has, the depth.
Oh.
This you're with the most shallow man imaginable. Okay, don't go with it. Don't go with it.
Wow. Okay. So Billy Joel runs out our top
Well, I
three.
think it's a man because it was just misleading.
Completely misdemeanor.
It's
that one.
completely misleading.
Okay.
It's just like, he sits there and says, "I'm innocent, Your Honor. It wasn't me. I'm just a victim of my times. I'm a baby boomer who just like the Beatles."
As we finish up this third and final
He
question
hasn't
for this episode.
I'm just always worried about people who haven't produced anything of note for the last 20 to 40 years. And
Doesn't
the
have to.
Stones and Billy Joel.
The back catalogue
I
is
don't
still
care.
continuing
I
to
don't
be
care
worthy.
about back catalogues. Blah, 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 blah.
This
has been fun.
Are you aware of Chumbawamba's album title or Fiona Apple's album title?
The Fiona Apple one.
Yes.
Yeah, when the
This will round out the 10 minutes quite nicely.
when
When the pawn hits the
it.
conflicts, he thinks like a king. What he knows throws the blows. When he goes to the fight, and he'll win the whole thing. For he enters the ring, there's no body to better. When you're oh god.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway.
What was the Chumbawamba one?
The boy bands have won, and all the copyists and the tribute bands and the TV talent show producers have won. If we allow our culture to be shaped by mimicry, whether from lack of ideas or from exaggerated respect, you should never try to freeze culture. What you can do is recycle that culture. Take your older brother's hand-me-down jacket and restyle it. Refashion it to the point where it becomes your own, but don't just regurgitate creative history. Or hold art and music and literature as fixed, untouchable, and kept under glass. The people who try to guard any particular form of music are, like the copyists and manufactured bands, doing it the worst disservice. Because the only thing that you can do to music that will damage it is not to change it, not to make it your own, because then it dies, then it's over, then it's done, and the boy bands have won. That is Chumbawamba's album title.
I know that one actually, but you know what? That is perfectly true, and that's pretty much what I've said for the last 10 minutes on this show. They've just compressed it down into. That's pretty true, actually, and I don't think that's a terrible album title. I think that pretty much is
Really?
my that's my motto.
And shout
I've
out
got
to
that tattooed on my right bicep.
My God, your bicep must be huge.
You've got to see these bad boys. If you could see what these things did in the Middle East, you wouldn't mess with me.
First successful episode of Take a Number.
Oh, I'm glad
Brixey,
you said it was successful.
well, I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I'm looking forward to our next one. Thank you so much for swinging by, and we look forward to what numbers you're going to pick next.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, Al.